So how do you find freedom from paid leads and cold business in real estate? So 20 years ago, when I was 22, 23 years old, I started out in real estate and I went door to door in 3 neighborhoods, about 180 homes each. My whole goal was to get the phone to ring because it just wouldn't ring and nobody knew my business or who I was or certainly wouldn't trust me to buy or sell a home. So I set out and went door to door, sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours a day, over a period of a couple years. Eventually the phone started to ring because I developed enough relationships that knew me, liked me, and trusted me that when they had a life change, 3/4 of them would call the first agent that came to their mind, and that was me. That data, that statistic is still true today. 76% of people that have a life change call the first agent that comes to their mind. So the whole business was about me earning the trust of enough people so that when they had a life change, my phone would ring. My aha was, as you fast forward 10 years into the future, I was overworked, I started to burn out, and my answer to everything was work harder, not smarter. And so I had this aha. I looked back and I did a brief calculation. I realized that on average, I believed that it took about 5 hours per person for me to interact with them until they knew me, liked me, and trusted me, and that if they had a life change, they'd likely call me. About 5 hours of doing what I said I was gonna do, following up with them, being generous with my time, not asking for anything or burning through the relationship, and then they trusted me. Well, if you calculated my dollar per hour back then, it was about $83 an hour, and realized I had 250 people in my database that I worked so hard at 5 hours a person. So 250 people times 5 hours a person is 1,250 hours of my time to build those relationships. At $83 an hour times 1,250 hours, it comes to over $103,000 of my time to build those relationships. As I thought about that, I realized my error and the error of so many of us as we're working so hard with paid leads and cold relationships. Every time we talk to a new person, it costs us about 5 hours of our time. And there's a price tag of that. My aha was that I had already, and you and so many of us had already spent 20, 30 years of our lives building relationships with a ton of people in our neighborhoods, people we went to school with, people we invited to our wedding. If you pick up your mobile phone, you have a contact list. There's people in there you could highlight that you've already spent the 5 hours. People that you're Facebook friends with, people that you use different vendors in the area, small business owners. You've already done what you said you're gonna do. You've put in the 5 hours. Our failure, my failure, was I didn't take the time to just document those names and put them in a system and then come from contribution and love on them, give them kindness, be generous with my time with the people I'd already put the 5 hours into. And I think that's so many of our failures. We see shiny objects, magic pills, and then we're wrapped up in the bondage of starting a cold relationship, putting the 5 hours in to earn their trust, when all we need to do is go back to the people that we already spent the time with in the last 20, 30 years of our lives and love on them, be a free resource to them, be the economist of choice to them, give them content 60 times a year, and our phone will ring off the hook. And that's how you can find freedom from cold leads, paid leads, and do it with your database that you've already put the time in. If you have any questions about 60 Touch program or a free strategy session or anything like that, or an open book, we'd love to help. Just click the information below and we'll talk to you soon.